Hello everyone, welcome back to the RimWorld Clone Army series, where Ward and Napoleon have been standing by this machine for a good long while, and Ox hasn't come back yet. So, I guess we're gonna do something else. Unfortunately, I'm afraid we can't sit around and wait on Ox to find Crimson and for the two of them to come back through the teleportation machine forever, so we're going to have to let life go on and continue our progress and hope that they're not dead. Mostly because if they are dead, then I don't know who's going to do all the shit that they had to do before, like carrying stone chunks and whatnot, so they better hope they're not dead. Speaking of the grandiose amounts of work that we're going to begin performing around the base, one of the first things that we're doing is actually building a large walkway around the landing pad for our brand new Hammerhead class cruiser. Which, okay, yeah, you caught me, we still don't have near enough resources to build the cruiser, but when we do get those resources, we need somewhere good to park it, of course, and we don't just want somewhere to park it, we want it to look good as well. That and the fact, of course, we need a clear runway so we're not landing on trees and chunks and stuff like that, of course. Now, part of that, of course, means that it's going to need a lot of stone, and that's something that we really don't have a lot of, surprisingly. Now, we could go out and buy that, but I see no reason to when we have so many stone chunks lying around, so we built a bunch of stone cutting tables, just straight up manual stone cutting tables. I do know that I could try and download one of the mods that have electric stone cutting tables to make this process go a lot faster, and I might end up doing that at some point, but I was a bit lazy in this episode. Regardless though, we have plenty of manpower, and our clones went day and night cutting through all of these slate blocks. That way we can try and make more slate flagstone to attach to the current landing strip made of that, and yada yada. You get the point. We're just making a big old landing strip. Now, of course, this new landing area is very large, and it's going to take a very long time, and things were going extremely slowly. I never really show you guys too often, but normally in this save for the Clone Army, things are like extremely slow. Luckily though, during this time, I ended up getting a new motherboard and a new CPU, so after I got that, installed it, everything went hunky-dory. Things were running much smoother, and I was so tickled to see it. But truthfully, with this episode, I wanted to do things a little bit differently. I think we have just enough spare droids lying around that aren't too damaged to perform this. And finally, just like that, after hours of work, Napoleon has finally created our very own battle droid. It is a coagulation of our remaining tissue cells we still had left over, our droid parts that were not too damaged, as well as void technology and bionics. Now, with that being said, though, it does have a name. It goes by the name CCDW, which of course stands for Cybernetic Clone Droid Warrior. Really rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Napoleon, of course, wasted no time, though, building his new beautiful creation some armor to go along with it to ensure that his internal robotics and whatnot are protected. Now, of course, given the fact that we ended up using our remaining tissue samples we had left over for the Omega Clone Squad that we created, he basically has the exact same skill set and whatnot as our regular clones, except he's not made of flesh, he's made of metal. Well, maybe a little flesh. Regardless, though, he looks totally badass, and since he is a total badass, we want to prove that. We're actually going to send him out on his very own mission. As you can see, not too far from the base, the Imperials are actually sieging the last remaining Itacan settlement here on the planet. And unfortunately, it would appear that the Itacans are putting up one hell of a fight, and the Imperials are struggling just a teeny tiny bit, so we're sending a helping hand. Not only do we want to provide a helping hand because the Empire is under our control, but this Itacan settlement will play a crucial part in our remaining control over the entire planet. CC ended up landing not too far away from the Imperial siege, just on the outskirts of the Itacan settlement, and began preparing to engage them in combat. It was finally time that we saw what our little droid project could do. And I don't mean to spoil anything for you, but he did not let us down at all. He would begin engaging these furry man-beast in melee combat as they got too close, and at one point I was a little nervous because they had him completely surrounded on all sides, but he managed to cut tear and just dig his way out with his sword. He then immediately began tanking the damage from several volleys of grenades all at once and continued the battle. At one point, the Itaken were finally fleeing their last remaining home on the planet, but CC didn't let them get away that easy. He began chasing them down as they were fleeing and firing upon them. And with this settlement taken, this battle finally won as the rain falls upon our blood-soaked hands. And with that, Napoleon's fingers slipped closer onto the throat of this planet, giving more way to his chokehold. Not only were we victorious in this battle though, but we were also successful in testing out CC's abilities in combat. Now of course though, with that being said, we don't fully control the planet just yet. Some of the populace is still a bit rebellious, like the insurrectionists or even the waster pirates. But of course those few remaining factions who refuse to bend the knee to us will get what's coming to them soon enough. For now though, Napoleon actually has something of a ceremony, a celebration of the ending of this war, our victory over the Itakens. I must say though that this final battle was not only a test of our new droid though, but it was a test of the Empire and their loyalty and their usefulness. And now that they've proven themselves, I'd like to introduce to you the new planetary defenders, the Imperials. Others have stood in the way of clone progress, but not the Empire. They now stand behind us. Of course, not all of the shattered Empire remnants are the same, and they are just as they seem, shattered, but the Empire of this planet is now one and the same with the clones. And I suppose it's just as the old saying goes, if you can't beat them, absorb them and turn them into your tyrannical government of your planet, or something like that, however it goes. And also, we obviously definitely could have beaten them. But I suppose now that the largest pirate faction on the planet's been completely wiped out and the Empire is under our total control after proving themselves worthy, we'll need to start planning out other wars, start building on the base more and more. There's always more and more work to be completed here at the base. As you can see, the massive landing pad that we've been working on, I mean, an entire war has ended and we've still unfortunately only got a fraction of it done, but I'm sure it'll come with time. We need to start working on our people, our armor and whatnot as well, so something we ended up working on at this point was some new jumpsuits for everyone. Well, actually, now that I think about it, I believe they're called body gloves, but as you can see, most of our people here have tattered apparel, and for the majority of our soldiers, that is their body gloves. So we immediately had Ward and Napoleon begin working on a shit ton of those for all of our soldiers. Now, I know that this might seem kind of like a frivolous thing to be working on, and Rat Knight, why are you worried about it? The clone army's super badass, but I will say that the body gloves are actually a pretty crucial part of our armor. Because honestly, at the end of the day, when our armor bursts open like a pineapple or some shit like that, the body glove is the only thing left protecting them from getting their green skin peppered with bullets and blaster fire. So, I guess you could say the body gloves were kind of important for the most part. But as Napoleon and Wart work on a bunch of body gloves, I think we should also begin working on some new research. It's been quite a while since we began researching anything, and I thought the perfect thing to research would actually be circuit breakers. Now, circuit breakers are going to help us ensure that our power grid is not easily compromised. It's not all that often that we have a zzz event where we lose all of our power, but it is definitely possible. And since we're going to be taking to the stars pretty soon, any clones that are left behind in the base are going to be relying heavily on our defenses that are also going to be relying on our power grid. Now look, speaking of which, I love our base, you love our base, we all love our base. It is wonderful, but I kind of had an idea and I wanted everyone's feedback on it. I was thinking, since we are basically the head of the Imperial government here on the planet, and we are the massive powerhouse of the planet and whatnot, we should really have a capital city. So I thought maybe we would find a new patch of land somewhere and use a bunch of resources to build a massive city for us. Originally, I was thinking that the massive hammerhead cruiser would kind of be our end goal for season 2 here, but now I'm kind of thinking that that's just a milestone along the way, and maybe a massive capital city would actually be our end goal. Of course, we're going to need plenty of materials, and with a hammerhead cruiser, we could actually go to other worlds, destroy other factions to get those materials, such as the Federation for their faux rum for our walls and whatnot, or even Void once more. But let me know what you guys think in the comments section section down below. I love you ever so much, and I will see you next time.